Welcome everyone to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to dive into today's topic with you because it's something that honestly impacts pretty much every single one of us. We're going to take a really close look at that universal, classic middle-class dream. You know the one, right? You wake up early, you work hard, you make a bit more money over time, eventually buy a nice house, raise a family, and then, gracefully retire in comfort. For decades, that was the simple, totally reliable formula. Study hard, get a good job, save your money, and life just steadily gets easier. But hey, if you're watching this right now, you've probably noticed that the rules of this dream have fundamentally, and kind of quietly, changed.
And that brings us directly to a massive paradox we need to talk about. Why are we earning more, but actually feeling poorer? Let's unpack this. Millions of us today are working longer hours than ever before. And if you just look at the raw numbers, our paychecks actually are bigger than they were 20 years ago. Yet, somehow, the financial anxiety is literally through the roof. A family earning $100,000 a year today frequently feels the exact same suffocating financial pressure that a family earning half that amount felt a couple of decades ago. So where is all that money going? Well, it's quietly being eaten up. It's the rent, the rise in grocery bills, those crazy healthcare premiums, the education costs. The numbers on our paychecks absolutely went up, but the cost of just everyday survival? Yeah, that went up way faster.
All right, let's jump into Section 1, the disappearing middle class. To really grasp how huge the shift is, let's look at a tale of two families. Picture a family from back in 1995. They earn a pretty average middle-class income, but with that, they actually managed to buy a house, own a reliable car, take a nice family vacation every single summer, and, get this, actually put money away for retirement. Life isn't perfect, obviously, but it's manageable. It's relatively low stress. Now fast forward to today's family. On paper, their income is much, much higher. They should be absolutely crushing it, but reality tells a completely different story. Housing now takes up a massive chunk of their income. Childcare costs are practically rivaling a second mortgage, which is wild. Throw in rising healthcare and super expensive groceries, and by the end of the month, they're staring at their bank accounts wondering where it all went, with literally zero money left over. The biggest takeaway here? If this is you, you're not crazy. It's not because you're lazy, and it's not necessarily because you're making terrible choices. You're just playing a game where the systemic rules have quietly changed against you.
Moving on to Section 2, the invisible squeeze.
This perfectly illustrates how this invisible squeeze actually happens to us. Imagine you just hit a fantastic milestone. Your boss calls you and it gives you a 10% raise. Awesome, right? You celebrate, you feel successful, you think you're finally going to get ahead. But over the course of the next year, your rent gets hiked up, your car insurance premiums jump, electricity costs more, and your basic grocery bill just creeps higher and higher, which leaves you with completely flat financial progress. You are, quite literally, on a financial treadmill. You're running so much faster, you're sweating a lot more, but you aren't actually moving forward an inch.
To really understand how this illusion tricks us, we need to quickly define two economic terms. First up is nominal income. Simply put, this is the raw dollar number printed right there on your paycheck or your W-2. It's the flashy number you tell your friends when you land a new job. But, spoiler alert, it only tells half the story.
The other half of that story is your purchasing power. This is what that paycheck can actually buy out there in the real world. When the prices of goods and services rise faster than your wages do, your purchasing power drops, so you're financially standing still or honestly even sliding backwards despite earning more nominal dollars. This right here is exactly why you can be making the absolute most money you've ever made in your entire life and still feel completely broke.
Which brings us to Section 3, lifestyle and debt traps.
Now we kind of have to pivot from those big systemic economic issues to our own personal habits, specifically a massive trap known as lifestyle inflation. This is that incredibly natural tendency to increase your spending the second your income increases. Imagine getting that promotion we just talked about. Instead of taking that extra cash and investing it, what do we usually do? Well, we upgrade our car. We move into a slightly larger apartment with, better amenities. We buy the newest smartphone. We start eating out at way nicer restaurants. None of these purchases seem unreasonable on their own, right? But together, they permanently raise your baseline cost of living. So you're earning twice as much as you did maybe 5 years ago, but you're saving absolutely nothing because your whole lifestyle just inflated to match that shiny new paycheck.
And then we just add fuel to the fire with what I call the everyday debt machine. You get a raise, you feel like you're getting ahead, and then boom, the credit card bill arrives. Then the car loan payment is due. Your mortgage payment goes up because of property taxes. Your student loans kick back in. Oh, and those 4 easy payments you agree to on that Buy Now, Pay Later app? Yep, Those are due too. It is this quiet, steady death by 1,000 cuts. Debt has become so totally normalized in our society that we view it as just a standard part of being an adult. But when debt is funding your everyday lifestyle, instead of actually building long-term value, it becomes this machine that aggressively consumes your income and just keeps you stuck on that treadmill forever.
Let's look at Section 4, the housing dream and the new economy.
We really need to address why traditional saving is just no longer a magic bullet. Here is a hard truth that surprises a lot of people. Saving alone just isn't enough anymore. If you take a giant stack of cash and hide it under your mattress for 20 years, sure, the number of dollars stays exactly the same. But because of inflation, what those dollars can actually buy absolutely plummets. Holding on to cash is essentially locking in a guaranteed loss. Your money has to be put to work alongside you through diversified investments if you ever want to outpace inflation and actually grow your wealth over time.
On top of that, we are operating in a totally new economy now. We're looking at insane, rapid advancements in automation, artificial intelligence, the huge shift to remote work, and digital-first businesses. It can feel super uncertain for sure, but it's also packed with opportunity. The way to survive and thrive here isn't to stubbornly hold on to the past, but to stay financially flexible. Continually learning new skills and adapting to these technological shifts, that is going to be your absolute strongest defense in the modern workforce.
All right, Section 5, Income versus True Wealth. This right here is probably the single biggest misunderstanding in all of personal finance. This stark contrast between income and wealth. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you actually own after accounting for all your obligations. This is so vital for us to understand. A massive salary is simply cash flow. I mean, if you make $200,000 a year, but you spend $200,000 a year on fancy cars, a massive mortgage, and luxury vacations, you have zero wealth. Wealth is what you actually keep, what you invest, and what quietly grows while you sleep.
Let's compare two different profiles to make this crystal clear. First, think about someone we'll call the vulnerable. This person has a really high salary, but they have very little in savings and they carry a ton of significant lifestyle debt. If they lose their job tomorrow, they are in total panic mode. Now, think about someone else, the secure. This person makes a much more modest income, but they have rock-solid, consistent saving habits, they invest regularly, and they strictly control their expenses. That second person is far, far more financially secure than the high earner who's drowning in lifestyle debt. Judging someone's success just based on their salary is completely misleading.
So how do we get out of this? Section 6, Your Financial Escape Plan.
Okay, how do we actually fix this in our own lives? Here's your step-by-step roadmap. And please think of this not as a set of joyless restrictions, but as an incredibly empowering checklist to reclaim your financial future. Step 1. Live below your means. Not to be miserable, but because every single unspent dollar is a tool for your future freedom. Step 2. Build an emergency fund. Life happens, right? Having a cash buffer prevents a pop tire from instantly becoming a credit card emergency. Step 3. Learn about investing before you dive in. Understand diversification, know what your goals are, and please ignore those flashy social media trends. Step 4. Keep learning new skills to protect your earning power in that crazy new economy we just talked about. And Step 5. Build wealth gradually and consistently. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Because at the end of the day, financial freedom isn't usually created by one lucky break. It's built through thousands of small, thoughtful decisions. Lasting wealth doesn't come from a winning lottery ticket or some overnight crypto miracle. It really comes from the quiet, boring consistency of choosing to invest a portion of every single paycheck year after year.
Which leaves us with a final, kind of provocative question for today. Ask yourself honestly, are you building appearances or are you quietly building assets? When you get your very next raise, are you going to spend it to look richer to your neighbors or will you invest it to actually become richer? The future of the middle class as a whole might be uncertain, but your personal financial future, that is entirely in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me for the Explainer today. If you found this breakdown valuable, be sure to subscribe so you never miss our future deep dives into understanding the world around us. Keep learning, keep building those assets, and I will see you in the next one.